Happy Monday.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
Tabitha. This is James. Today we're going to talk about things that make us upset, like every day. No,
The never ending suck cycle, which is not as fun as it sounds, kids.
that is true. That's a different podcast hosted by Bonnie Blue. You can check that out later. No,
Oh, goodness. So I got a fun one for you. I had somebody approach me about starting a recruiting company, but specifically for folks who've been laid off by companies doing AI. And whether or not, guy in the comments, it's a thing that's actually happening,
fake news,
they
lies.
still got laid off. And they need jobs now. And so the approach was, yeah, like these are people who are looking at like there's a huge talent pool that's currently floating around out there, and there are companies that are looking for humans to do things. So my question for them was, what is fundamentally different? Right? Is this just like a marketing position where we're like, hey, we help people who've been laid off because of AI, or is what is fundamentally different about this? And most of the answer I got was about marketing. And so I'm curious, you, HR guru, much to your chagrin, like, what are your thoughts about how that could go as a business model?
I mean, they're not wrong about the marketing because the marketing just writes itself, especially now. HR is another industry that's, been ravaged by a lot of people. Just saying, if you're getting your advice from AI for HR, it's going to tell you to do some really fun things. Do get legal advice from AI.
Yeah.
But we are in a realm where people are not looking at your resume. You're just trash, mere trash. And we to the great God systems in the cloud. So having the nuance of someone actually like looking at you like a human that has value, and like even take HR has been repackaged as people operation.
Mhm.
So if you were to have HR all over your resume and applied for people operations, the AI is just going to throw you away. And so having someone that's actually going to sit there and very human connect the dots or see potential is something that's extremely attractive. And then also having something that isn't including a very attractive to a lot of people right now, whether or not that one guy in the comments believes that or not.
So, but what it sounds kind of like is that we're going sort of old school, right, for recruiters, where you like had to read a resume and help connect people. And, even now, I think the good ones are still doing it to a great degree. But I think most people are using the sort of first pass systems, right? And, the last position that I hired for, I got probably 1,200 resumes. And, it's easy to parse through like geographic things or, level of education, right? I can just look and see if they've got a graduate degree or whatever my real threshold qualifications are. But yeah, I wonder what that differential might look like in terms of, human time and what people are. It almost feels like concierge service of like how much more are you willing to pay to have an actual human talk to you?
I mean, just today having to call the DMV, there is no limit on that. There's no limit on how much I'll pay to talk to a human. I feel like there's so much, and I know we talk about this so much, there's so much that humans can do that AI can't. And there's people who, are amazing, like, I'll use dating as an example. Amazing texters. Like, they're really good. You meet them and they are the biggest, most boring dud in real life. Like, there are people who are great test takers and stupid as like, so whenever you sit there and you're having someone just go through, people pay to get their resumes done. You could have a kick-ass resume, and whenever you sit there and actually talk through the person, look at everything that's included in their resume, it's a different experience. And so it's just there's so much more to it than just this like eating of data that is something that, I mean, these people already had AI eat their job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take all the writers that have, I mean, you can tell you that we had at graduation, seeing there, one person got up, did their speech, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's really cute. And then the next person got up, and it was like 10 minutes at least. This kid was talking, but you could tell it was written by AI.
Mm.
And it was just like,
Did they include the prompt? Because that's always fun.
it was like the key phrases. Like, I felt so meh. And I'm like, okay, teenage boy,
Yeah.
using meh. Like, and so it was just such a,
Sure. Yeah.
like, how much are you? I would rather have someone who is authentically them and get hired authentically as them.
Yeah. Or not, right? And I think that's the other bit, right? We talk about cultural fit for organizations, which we can get into as being just, systemic racism dressed up slightly more nicely. But if you actually get to know people a little bit, and you can in an interview process, if you're asking questions about them and treating them as a human being, as a coworker, somebody you're going to have to spend 40 hours of your life with every week. Yeah, you can kind of get a feel for what they're like as a human and whether or not they've just totally made shit up. When I brushed up my resume as we were getting ready to shift to the Great White North, and I was like, yeah, man, maybe I'm going to just find a gig and work for somebody else for a while. I had somebody go through and AIify my resume because, like Tabitha's saying, right, the first pass is the most important one at this point. Right? It's not that you're unqualified for things; it's that you don't know the right keywords, and it's bots talking to bots, or in the case of our comments, it's Tabitha talking to bots. Hopefully, they're bots.
I don't think bots spell that badly.
It's true. Do make fewer mistakes, and then they delete your entire code base. So, but no. So, what would you think around the sort of pricing structure of that? Right, because it is more human time intensive. But as we found out recently from Microsoft and Amazon, so AI can actually be more expensive than running junior employees.
Are we talking the pricing as in employees or as utilizing the platform?
Well, let's talk about utilizing the platform, right? Like, how would we price this as an organization?
I would say so. Right now, with most platforms, there is either to boost your what's your resume to the top of the stack,
Mm-hmm.
or to get more views on your profile. Everything has a dollar sign on it. Or you have to, like, flex jobs. You have to pay a subscription just to view said jobs.
Yeah.
So it's not outrageous to have some kind of monthly subscription for this. And I
Mm-hmm.
know it has like this, I don't know, I feel like literally everything now is a subscription.
Right.
So it's hard to be like, it has this icky feeling of being like, oh, you're unemployed, pay this subscription. But it's also like, we're watching commercials again. We had a couple of years of like bliss of no commercials. Everything is a subscription. Like, they created problems just up. But anyways, that's a different rant.
The inshitification of everything. Yeah.
But this is something a someone will actually see you, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Same with the what would I pay to talk to an actual human at the DMV? Like, it's something that is, you have more of a fighting chance.
Yeah. Like when I redid my resume, I had several conversations with the woman who wrote it. We talked about what are my goals, we talked about my background, we talked about I'm moving to a new market and then I'm trying to, sort of bridge a very wide ranging career into what's sort of a next step, right? Where do I want to be? What level do I want to be in at? Given the positions that I've held, what's a good place for entry? And that felt really good, right? It felt very validating of, here is a person who sees, hundreds of resumes. And she's like, yeah, this is, given your experience, this is the kind of jobs that you should be chasing. And she spent more time working on formatting than we did on content because of the HRIS systems issues and getting in. And so, yeah, I do think it does feel icky to talk about it as like, here's another, yet another monthly subscription. But I guess I kind of wonder how much time that comes with, right? Do you feel like you're getting value for it? For me, it was a one-off thing, and it cost, a not insubstantial amount of money, about $1,000 to have somebody spend all that time. But they also like redid my LinkedIn profile, and I went and got a new headshot done, like all of the pieces that come along with it. And so, what are you getting in that membership? I think is the other bit, right? Is it a resume review? Is it we're sending you to work with somebody who is a specialist in a particular industry? Right? I think with like AI layoffs, do we have someone who is very specifically looking only at software engineers? And having those, like, building those connections to in organizations, right? How do we parse that so it's not everything goes into one big pot, and it's sort of luck of the draw as to whether or not the recruiter even understands what it is you do for a living?
I feel like, yeah, having a different, like, very parsed out people who are experts in it. But I also feel like having, with it being a platform, you need to have that. I guess if it's going to be specialized where it's like software engineers or something, but I feel like there is so many people that are touched by this displacement, it has a large expansion for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, what kind of jobs are you drawing into this? So it can't just be, unless it's just providing them with the tools to go out there and utilize AI to go get another job to probably get hired because
Yeah.
AI replaced you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the back end of it, right? How is this better than just lobbing your resume out into the void of even going directly to a company's website and applying there, right? Because nobody reads them when they come through LinkedIn. Nobody reads them when they come through Indeed. There've been a bunch of articles about that in the last 6 months, right? It's the same as just like putting it on a telephone pole. You may actually have more luck that way, depending on what you're looking for. But like how it feels like the networking piece is also really important. That these recruiters need to know the people who are actually recruiting at these other companies, so there is that bridge, right? And it's not just, yeah, we'll apply for you, or, these companies have, like, are paying us to find somebody, right? They're doing the headhunting. There are those connections already there.
I would think it would be almost like a matchmaking where
Mm-hmm.
you have a pool of people who displacement, but you also have people who aren't wanting to utilize AI tools for finding jobs, which makes them very different in the whole sphere of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they're wanting more of a high touch experience to find these people. And so, I mean, of course, they could look for the whole larger pool, but doing this touch, you're also not going, you're getting someone who likely isn't going to just do their work with like slop. So I think it's, I think it's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's, there's just like a lot of approaches for it and having that really narrowed down besides like the marketing, because the marketing is freaking banging, but you have to be able to like actually do the
Yeah.
thing.
And I think that's really where my concerns about it would be, is do you, as so as a founder, would you have the connections to these companies to get it going, right? Because you're like with everybody, right? It's cart and the horse. Like, which one are you letting lead? On one hand, yeah, like the marketing is going to be really important. It's what's going to get you out there and make people aware of you. And but the thing that's actually driving it are those high touch systems that are going to get you, they're providing the value to both sides of the client base, and having those set up and running when you start to throw out, hey, do you think AI is shitty? Do you want some help? We're here.
And you would also need, I would say, have a strong ORI applicant pool whenever you started pulling in. You would probably have to free for the people that first signed up, but you would have to have an applicant pool already for signing in these companies, which you would have to hunt down to get. And I feel like, I mean, it would just some light stalking, but there are companies that are making a stance with how they do things.
Yeah.
And so just finding those breadcrumbs and following it and pitching them is what would be everything for this. And being charismatic to make your point and not, it would all have to be hand done. Everything, like, it's just like the way you're putting that marketing out into the world has to be so done correctly, or you fucked yourself from the very beginning.
Yeah. No, I think with all of these pieces, like there's a path through. I feel like this is one of those that is very high capital to get off the ground, right? Because it is all about humans, right? So this is probably not something that you can do as a single like member team getting rocking and rolling, right? You need to be able to hire some folks to help you who have additional connections. Then you got to have a marketing budget. Then you got to be ready to rock, and then you got to find folks who are keen to work with humans. And I think that pool is getting bigger, right? There's a lot of frustration around just the lack of quality that comes out of these models a lot of the time. And the Pope just said it's bad. He just straight up said it's bad. And the Pope's from Chicago, so I'm not going to find him.
It's
And so, if you're ever interested in having a conversation like this with Tabitha and I, links are on the website. Come check it out, because this is what we actually do for a living: is talk to people about this sort of business model stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
we'll let you know if, unlike this idea that's really good, your idea really sucks. We'll also tell you.
And it's less expensive than trying it and finding out. Yeah, we'll promise we'll be more gentle. That's that, probably, unless it's real bad.
Are you drinking right now?
God, I
Are you
wish.
on drugs? Maybe you should be now.
Do I need more drugs? Do I need fewer drugs? Do I just need